Oh, Ron Hunter.
Is
Yeah.
that the real Ron Hunter? I wonder if that's the real Ron
That's
Hunter.
Ron
Ron
Hunter.
Hunter?
But
That's the Ron
he
Hunter.
mentioned something great. He said, my favorite ad, Brian Bell doesn't skate for Senate. I'm not sure how much you spoke about this before in the past, but never spoke about this. Okay, this is perfect then, because that's like such a recognizable ad from the 90s, which was
I love that ad.
Yeah,
that ad was probably
a great ad.
That was kind of one of the things that hooked me when I was a kid. When I saw that, I thought that was the coolest ad ever.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, I'll pat my back on that one. That was really,
for sure.
I like that one a lot.
That's good.
Well, explain it first for people who don't know about it, I guess.
So with Senate, we obviously we ran ads in the skate magazines, but so Brian Bell was a great skater at the time. He was sort of like for Brian Bell, I always associate Brian Bell with he was the quintessential kind of street skater of the time with the big jeans, the big chain wallet. But he was doing the gnarly transfers on kink rails, jumping from one rail to another rail. I mean, I always think of Bryan kind of as that really pushing the limits on street skating, and doing gnarly tricks on gnarly rails. And he came out of the San Diego scene, right? So there were a lot of kind of cool skaters that came up with him at the same time, Ernie and Lurch and all those guys. But so Bryan was getting a lot of attention. I thought he was a really noticeable and influential skater at the time. And he might have been skating for Hyper or Meets or something kind of lame. And so this might have come up. This is kind of sketchy, but this might have come up because a lot of my friends were photographers, and BK, was a partner in Senate. And so it may have been that we had access to these photographs, that they were shooting, not necessarily of Senate skaters, but BK and Jess would go out and shoot for Daily Bread or the magazines at the time. And so maybe there was this great shot of Brian Bell, but we maybe we didn't have great shots of our own skaters. I thought, this is the shot I want to use, right? I want to put this in the magazine. And there was a time where I was editor of Daily Bread and I was running Senate. So I kind of wore both hats, but I'm thinking partially in terms of great content for the magazine. I want every page to be a banger and to look rad. So even if the companies are contributing kind of to the editorial content just by having great skating, that's a plus. But so Bryan didn't skate for Senate. And so we came up with this idea of let's just use Bryan anyway, even though he's not one of our skaters. And then I came up with this great line that was, Brian Bell doesn't skate for Senate, but he's good enough to. And so it's it struck the perfect balance, right, between kind of this really arrogant, F you attitude. Yeah. But it also was kind of acknowledging this badass skater out there. Tipping the cap. Yeah. It was just, everything about it was I just thought there was something really it caught the perfect wave, that one. We got barreled in the tube with that one. I thought it struck the right chord. It was cool. And it was real. And it was kind of it was a company breaking company, the unwritten rules of being a company, right? We were using someone else's skaters. We were calling it out. It's that was one of the neat things. When I say Senate, for me, was kind of performance art. It was always breaking that fourth wall, always breaking the conventions of what it means to be a company or to do things by the rules.
And that still has been broken. I've never seen anything like that since then. And that was fucking 25 whatever years ago. Yeah. Was there any backlash from his sponsor from that? Hyper or whatever?
I don't know. And the truth is, if he was sponsored by Hyper owned Senate. So what? Oh. Right? I mean, how much backlash are they really going to give us?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.